guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I am reviewing The Last Olympian by Riordan, and that happens to be also the last book in the Percy Jackson and the Olympian series. Head straight up into the summary. We begin with a bang. Percy and one of his friends goes and blows up the ship of the Titan Lord Kronos', one of his ships, the Princess Andromeda or Andromeda. Not sure how to pronounce it. Anyways, they blow up his ship. Let's just say it doesn't go that well. Yeah, it has kind of an unfortunate ending, but for the sake of spoilers, I'm not gonna discuss that. And it turned out that next week actually is Percy's 16th birthday, which means then he's eligible for that great prophecy which concerns him apparently. And the prophecy promises that lots of bad things will happen once Percy turns 16. Those bad things include Percy could potentially die, Mount Olympus could be destroyed, all the gods could die, and the entire world could be under the iron fist of Kronos. Riordan really finds a way to up the bad things that will happen if the demigods fail each book. In other words, this is pretty much Endgame. Will Percy die? And will he be able to save all his friends while saving the world? You'll just have to find out. So, okay, on to the super spoiler summary now. Not spoiler people, head down to the description and click on that timestamp, and it'll take you over to the non-spoiler section of the video. So yeah, moving on. Okay, so Percy and Nico, they set out on a quest to find out stuff about Luke, since Kronos isn't, to find information about Luke, since, you know, Luke is Kronos' host, because Kronos is living in Luke's body, and etc. So they investigate Luke's past, but along the way as they go they make a trip into the underworld to investigate. Percy decides to make himself invincible by bathing in the river Styx. And Styx is spelled S-T-Y-X, by the way, not like Styx as in twig sticks. And that's how apparently Achilles got his invincibleness, by bathing in the river Styx. And of course, you know, he had he has a weakness on his heel, which is, you know, the Achilles tendon as it's named. So Percy bathes in the river Styx, which is an extremely dangerous thing to do. And he comes out looking like a lobster afterwards. His skin is so red. But his weakness is going to be at the small of his back, so I don't know, that's back. So that's his weakness. But other than that, his body is completely invincible. So after they make that stop, they go and get help from the rest of the people at Camp Half-Blood, because there's a giant monster guy named Typhon who is right now rampaging across the entire country of America, and he's going towards New York, which is where Mount Olympus is. This Typhon is just raging across the country, and Percy and friends need to stop him and stop Kronos and his evil army all at the same time. But as Percy arrives in New York City, he finds out that the god Morpheus, apparently Morpheus is the god of dreams, and he's putting everybody in the city to sleep so that humans won't interfere with the evil army invasion. And apparently the city is also surrounded by layers of magic that slow time down around the entire city. So people outside of Manhattan are moving at the speed of snails. And also apparently the goddess of magic, Hecate, is put a spell or something, so the cars aren't going into Manhattan, they're just subconsciously going away from it. So there'll be no human interference with the evil army invasion, as I said. Anyways, as the evil army invasion starts, Annabeth takes a dagger for Percy, as he was about to be hit in his weak spot. Annabeth takes a dagger for him, unfortunately at the cost of her own injury. Hades and Nico show up with their skeleton army, and they have come to help, thankfully, Percy and the rest of the Camp Half-Blood campers. Man, it's so trippy. Camp Half-Blood campers. And so the dead skeleton army is helping fight against Kronos' army, but it's just not enough. Kronos has the numbers, and he has all of these giants on his side, which unfortunately the skeletons can't defeat. So Percy's gonna need more than just a skeleton army to help him defeat Kronos. But then Percy summons help from his dad, Poseidon, and Poseidon comes in with all of his army, and they manage to defeat Typhon, the giant monster who was rampaging across the country. And after they defeat Typhon, they turn to face Kronos, because he's like the only one left by now, essentially. And none of them can actually kill Kronos, because again, he's invincible, and they have no idea where his weak spot is. But Percy and Annabeth actually manage to appeal to Luke's consciousness, who is like actually still inside Kronos somehow, and Luke manages to conquer Kronos's control over his body, and manages to like take a dagger and stab himself in the only weak spot that they have, and that essentially kills Kronos. It also kills Luke too, but yeah. Actually, wait. Apparently Titans, which Kronos is a Titan, apparently they can never die. Like, you can only shatter their consciousness into like tiny pieces all over whatever. And so hopefully Kronos' consciousness is scattered far enough into small enough pieces that he'll never be able to come back together again. So yeah, that's the tragic end to Kronos and Luke. Anyways, we end with Percy making the gods promise to claim all their children from now on, because Luke was a son of the god Hermes, but apparently there are a ton of kids that have godly parents, but their parents don't claim them and actually make them their own. And that was Luke's dying wish, basically, to have the gods actually take care of all their kids, because Luke severely was lacking Hermes' presence in his life when he was growing up. And so that's one of the things that kind of embittered him. Now that that's done, Percy makes the gods promise to all claim their children and take care of them. And then they all go back to Camp Half-Blood to wrap up the very eventful summer they had. We end on kind of an ominous note though. So remember Rachel, Elizabeth Dare that I mentioned last review? When they go back to Camp Half-Blood, she ends up taking in the spirit of the Oracle of Delphi and becoming the new Oracle. So previously the spirit of the Oracle was like in this old mummy at Camp Half-Blood, and whenever a prophecy needed to be made, then the dummy would come and say the prophecy. But now Rachel has taken on the spirit of the Oracle, and she now has the power to prophesy, and she makes another doom and gloomy prophecy as soon as she gets the spirit. And yeah, that prophecy is definitely very ominous, and it's definitely a lead up to the two other series that follow this one. Yeah. Anyways, that's the end of the book, basically. I know it's on a very melancholy note. So, yeah, that's the end. So, okay. Oh wait, I also want to mention, minor thing, but Pergabeth becomes official. Anyways, moving on now to the worldview. So, welcome back, non-spoiler people. So glad you decided to actually click on the timestamp like I told you to. And, yeah, anyways, let's go on to the worldview. So, as I have said before, like 4 times already, Riordan is not a Christian author. The prominent worldview in these books are that the gods are supreme and you must obey them. I'll note mentions of, praying and sacrificing to gods, like the way the demigods sacrifice to their gods, are like whenever they eat, they take a portion of the meal and like scrape it into a fire, and that's their sacrifice. I'll also note some mythical monsters that appear, and also a crazy old lady who has green-eyed fits, so kind of creepy. And also another character who accepts the spirit of the Oracle at Delphi and now has the power to prophesy. So also low-key creepy, so I'm just gonna put that there. I'll talk more about it later at my wrap-up, but yeah, that's it. So, okay, moving on now to foul language. So, there were no bad words here. Basically all there is like insults, stuff like idiot, selfish jerk, etc. I don't know. But yeah, just minor rudeness. Nothing like bad. Again, I think there was a mention or two, actually I don't remember. There might have been a mention or two of the oh my gods thing, the Percy Jackson inside joke. Instead of saying oh my god, you say oh my gods. So yeah, that's the Percy Jackson thing. It's not necessarily foul language, I'd say, but I don't know. I'm just putting it in. So yeah, moving on to violence. So definitely quite a bit of violence here. At least, let me think, at least like the second half of the book is like with the evil army invasion, and so there's definitely a lot of fighting here, some wounds, death, but nothing super bloody or gory, I guess. I don't know, just a higher level of violence in general than the other Percy Jackson books, I think. Yeah, that's it. Moving on to romance. So there's nothing inappropriate here in terms of romance. There were 3 barely above detailed kisses. One of them was like on the cheek even, so it doesn't really even count in my book. But yeah, it's like super not detailed. It's literally just like so-and-so kissed so-and-so, and they just like go on. So I'm like, okay then, anyway, so there's nothing inappropriate here in terms of romance. Again, like I've said, this book is based on the premises that demigods have one godly parent and one mortal parent, so you can figure out what needs to happen. But anyways, again, there's no scenes of that, so nothing inappropriate here. Yeah, let's move on to alcohol. I again need to note the god Dionysus, the god of wine. He makes a couple appearances here, and there was a mention of him appearing at a party where like alcohol was being served, but there weren't any like super specific scenes of drinking happening. But there weren't any like super specific scenes of drinking happening or people getting drunk. It's really super minor. Like if you were just browsing through the book, then you'd miss it. So yeah, that's it. Okay, that's it for all the morals. Okay, moving on to my reading recommended age level. Again, I'm gonna rate this book 4.5 stars. Okay, like I really enjoyed it. The pacing was really good. Just the way it was written, the storyline, the plot, like I all loved that aspect of the book. Like from a pure reader's standpoint, I could rate it 5 stars. Like I loved the characters, I loved the way the story played out, and all the different elements being woven into the story. However, that's from a pure reader's standpoint, and while I would like to give it 5 stars, most definitely, I can't because of all these worldview issues that I mentioned before and the moral. And yeah, just overall I think this book is like a little bit creepier than the rest. I'd say that especially because at the end when I mentioned the character took on the spirit of the Oracle of Delphi, and I learned about this in history class actually, like the Oracle of Delphi was a real thing, and it's quite interesting to learn about actually, but it was quite creepy. I mean, okay, it wasn't like creepy as in like it was creeping me out and giving me nightmares, like I'm really not affected by it, but I can definitely see how younger children might be, and they might get like nightmares or be scared of it. And so yeah, that's definitely, if you want to do some more research into the Oracle of Delphi, I will let you, by all means, because I do not have the time to sit here and explain it all to you, but definitely from what I've learned in history class, Oracle of Delphi is not a good thing. If any of you watch Drive Through History, because FYI, I homeschooled, if you didn't know that by now, and for history last year, we watched Drive Through History by Dave Stotts, and there's an episode talking about the Oracle of Delphi, and yeah, there were some quite unsettling things about the Oracle of Delphi in there, so anyway, just give the episode a watch. It's worth it. Quite educational, but again, it just kind of like unnecessary. I mean, not unnecessary, because I know that like the whole prophecy that was given at the end through the spirit of the Oracle at Delphi was necessary to continue the plot for the rest of the books that come after this series. Yeah, I think it's just told in an unnecessarily people-y way. So yeah, there's that. And okay, now for my recommended age level. Again, from a reader's standpoint, I'm gonna say 12 plus this time, because, you know, of the whole thing that I just talked about. But again, because of all these worldviews and moral things, I would err more on the 13 plus side, 12 to 13 plus. Yeah, again, because of all the worldview things that I mentioned, all the morals, and yeah, I think it's just safer to go on the 12 to 13 side. Like, better that you're way too ready better that like you're way too ready for this than you end up not being ready for it and then get like nightmares for a week because of it. So I'm not saying it's that creepy, okay? I read way more creepy books in my life, but yeah, I'm just saying exercise caution. Okay, all that to say, I really liked The Last Olympian. It was a great book in terms of, like, you know, reader-wise. But yeah, I enjoyed it personally. Yeah, okay, that's the end. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to leave a thumbs up down below and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And I'll see you guys next week.